Welcome to the session, Extending Plant Visibility with Real-Time Alarm Notification Reporting with WIN-911. My name is Jeremy Megan. We are based in Austin, Texas. I assume responsibility as channel manager for our Rockwell Automation partner network, as we are a longtime partner, formerly Encompass partner, now known as a technology partner with Rockwell Automation, and also a longtime product partner with NHP. Excited to share the latest solutions with you today to better to help your company become more efficient and increase visibility into both events and alarms by giving you guys some background on really some of the key challenges that we see in industrial automation, specifically in the food and beverage and manufacturing CPG segments, and specifically how WIN-911 can help you and to reduce some of that downtime and have better visibility into not only your plant floor, but your machines, your operators, and your staff. We'll speak to a use case example of a meat processing company in the food space as an industry example of an application. And next, we'll transition into the core solutions and really how WIN-911 seamlessly integrates into your FactoryTalk architecture. And then we'll follow this session with some new capabilities in addition to the new WIN-911 2021 product. We have also introduced some new features specific to industrial reporting, powered by Excel Reporter, a new part of the portfolio that NHP can help you deploy. And of course, we will take some time at the end to answer any questions and the audience may have from the session. So moving right along into some industry challenges. Really, alarm management in general is a challenge, and it is a fairly new topic for many manufacturing companies. But you think about the beverage industry, you've got critical alarms, you have people, and you have processes to take action on certain events. And as events happen, in order to stay efficient, you have to have people. And there's been some real challenges in, I would say specifically in some of the food and beverage industries, especially you think of the really the more harsh environments such as meat processing. Having less people on the plant floor can certainly present challenges as companies try to become more efficient and more aware of their operational effectiveness. Additionally, alarm visibility. Again, this comes back to alarm management and the ability to not only ensure you receive that alarm no matter where you are, but also to be able to decipher what that alarm really means, and having the visibility beyond the control room as plants continue to move forward with production. And this is really I would say a pivotal part of your control system, is understanding some of the issues before they become bigger problems. And if you're locked in a control room, it's really difficult to do that. Remote acknowledgements, again, continues to be a big challenge. As everyone knows, there are, there's different methods to respond to alarms, and of course, having an alarm management strategy can help you uncover how these acknowledgements can impact your operations. But being able to access that, your SCADA HMI, and accessing these alarms beyond the control room, but also being able to respond and also advise to your team that the issue's been taken care of continues to be a huge challenge. I think this is without much else to be said other than lack of communication and communication gaps, right? From the time an alarm happens, an event happens, there's a fault of some kind, from the time that happens to taking action on it, really opens up doors for, again, many communication gaps. Ensuring the right people know about things is very important. And also, too many alarms. With too many alarms and without an alarm management strategy, you just have noise. And without being able to collect this data, and not only report on this data, but be able to decipher which alarms are most important and prioritize responses and, again, sensitive equipment, some of your more critical alarms, continues to be a huge challenge. And there's a lot of tools to help make that process much easier. And I think, this really applies in a lot of different industry verticals. WIN-911 as a company has had a lot of success in water and wastewater treatment, especially in our home base in the U.S. But we're really a great fit for a number of types of applications, whether you're an OEM or an implementer, system integrator. This solution has been deployed in over 19,000 facilities today. Everything from cranberry farm applications in agriculture to both large and small oil and gas, upstream, midstream, downstream, general manufacturing, as well as semiconductors, food and beverage. Again, this is kind of the key topic for today. And a lot of other applications as well that we're starting to evolve with and see more partnership opportunities with Rockwell Automation, with NHP, including food processing, natural disaster, the renewable energy space. So whether you're a battery manufacturer or maybe perhaps on the hydrogen H2S side. So really a number of use cases here where this applies. And you think about the core solution and how WIN-911 fits into these verticals. It's really pretty simple in a nutshell. And we focus on ensuring the right people know about alarms, and on the right device, and of course at the right time. And from the time an alarm occurs on the plant floor, there's within a matter of minutes, you can have lost production, you can have downtime, there can be safety concerns, especially as you're dealing with ammonia and some other potential hazardous chemicals. The longer it takes to respond to an alarm, the more repercussions, right? So you think about WIN-911 as a solution. You look at an industrial plant of some sort, factory. There's machines and there's process, and inside of that process lives a SCADA system, a control system, and that's really where WIN-911 has built our foundation. We provide a flexible, intelligent notification engine that seamlessly integrates into leading SCADA HMI products, as well as OPC servers and other open source protocols. And as a notification engine, not only do we take that information in, but we can offer not only collaboration, so ensuring the right people on the team are aware of these alarms, but also robust scheduling that can fit flexible, can be flexible and fit a number of schedule requirements. If you have recurring schedules and shifts, there's some automated solutions there for schedules. And also reporting is becoming a bigger part of WIN-911, and we're excited to share some updates with you today on that. But also really escalation, I think, is the other key part. And being able to identify exactly who needs to know about these alarms, in what particular order, and the conditions in which this alarm should be disregarded or ended in the lifetime is really what the escalation means for us. So whether you're a maintenance technician that maybe does come in to fix equipment, whether you're on site or you're remote, our mobile apps can push to you to your smartphone. We also do SMS text messaging. As a plant manager or maybe an operations manager, you may prefer a phone call or text message. So really a number of different use cases. And then we have solutions built for in-plant announcements. WIN-911 Announcer is a great example of that. So as you have your alarms broadcast or texting out or sending you alerts over an app, we can also provide in-house announcements via the WIN-911 Announcer. And lastly, of course, email notification. And we'll go into some of these a little bit in a little bit greater detail here in the next few slides. But I wanted to start with a customer, a use case in the meat processing space, to share an industry application. This company is Tyson Foods. This particular location is in Wisconsin in the United States. That is largely a pork processing and packaging facility. They do everything from meatballs to sausages and bacon. And this facility does everything from cooking to chilling to cutting and packaging the foods and the products, with over 500 million pounds of product per year, and that number has grown as demand has increased. So this company was going through some realizations, and in 2016 was when WIN-911 was introduced. This company had a process that was what I would say is a very manual and inefficient process that involved a 24/7 operator, which is common. But in this case, there was a manned computer screen in a control room. And in the event that there wasn't a fault on the floor, as products were pushed out and conformed, to call the right people, to call IT or call technician, depending on the issue and when those problems occur. So there were a number of challenges, including system crashes, and generally speaking, engineering and IT were required to fix some of the issues to address this on their lines. So WIN-911 was able to help Tyson Foods. Really interesting use case. Initially, we provided a solution. I should say WIN-911 and Rockwell Automation came together and provided a combined solution to give them immediate information. So for sensitive equipment, things like tank levels, temperature systems, pressure parameters. There were some safety alarms as well. And now they can get that alarm information directly in real time to their engineering staff and IT as these problems occur. So really going from a process that requires somebody to first see the alarm and then to call another person on staff was really a huge inefficiency. And as we noted on the previous slides, obviously lost production is a huge concern in manufacturing. A few minutes of downtime can cost a lot of money, and also reliability. Again, having issues with staffing, and therefore having issues with an on-call operator or an operator that is available 24/7 really was not ideal. And some of the results achieved more more flexible notification delivery, right? Making this Tyson Foods plant more scalable as production is picked up. And now, actually, as of recently, they've added WIN-911 mobile to give better visibility via smartphone app as these problems occur. This was a quote that their senior engineer of innovation, Jonathan Reichert, shared with us. In addition to helping ease compliance, the capabilities have allowed the facility to save $100,000 in wastewater chemicals. The visibility has allowed us to see where inefficiencies were happening so we could adjust and refine our process. So again, very compelling story. You look at the food and beverage industry, a lot of challenges right now with staffing. As you look at in the dairy industry and the poultry industry, there's a lot of challenges to keep good staff on the books, and adding a solution like this can make a huge impact on your operations. Now, as we transition, I'm going to talk a little bit about the product and really what's new with WIN-911 2021. In terms of licensed tiers, for any of those on this session that has used WIN-911, we still are using the standard, interactive, advanced tiers. Those are still available today. We did release a subscription offering. So if your company is looking to deploy WIN-911, we can give you a solution at a lower entry level price as a subscription license. And as time evolves and the product develops, we'll continue to build new features that are unique to subscription. We've also updated our technology stack. This was a huge improvement with the WIN-911 2021 release. This removed Silverlight dependencies and IIS dependencies, and added support for many new environments and SCADA systems. Fully supporting Factory Talk View, SC alarms and events version 10, all the way up to the latest 13. And of course, we are supporting Factory Talk Optics going forward as a solution for alarming as well. And one mechanism of handling that data is through OPC UA. So last year we introduced our first OPC UA sources in addition to what we previously had, an OPC DA data source, which is still available. So giving you a more secure method of, and again, I guess the modern method of aggregating your data, and a protocol that we can support for all of your assets. Looking at the notification methods, today we have 5 different ways to notify. We can send you a mobile app alert. This is via WIN-911 mobile. A smartphone app, WIN-911 does host in Azure AD. So this is part of your subscription licensing. and available as a solution with our interactive and advanced licenses. As you navigate through the app, there's a number of unique features and the ability to really make have greater visibility in your WIN-911 system all through a single login. So we'll look at some of those details here in the next couple of slides. In short, this WIN-911 mobile solution, it is for smartphones, both Android and iOS devices, and just an internet connection is required to use it. We also support SMS, cellular. Today is a cellular solution. For those that are interested in SMS, we have globally recommended cell modems that we can recommend. Of course, NHP can help you with to add this as part of your WIN-911 solution. SMS is cellular. You don't need an internet connection to use it, and really gives you the ability to respond to your alarms via text using standard SMS protocol. And it's something we continue to support, and a great backup as a secondary means to get out. Additionally, we do voice call out. This is voice notification. We can support VoIP servers. If your VoIP server does support SIP protocol, natively we have a VoIP interface. So I would say in the manufacturing space, we see a lot of the Cisco unified call manager phone systems. So those are supported. And we also support SIP trunking. So if you don't necessarily have a VoIP PBX and you want to leverage the voice features in WIN-911, SIP trunks can give you an easy integration to call you if voice calls are preferred, text to speech. And SIP.us is one of them, obviously a US-based company, but there is some support in Australia as well. And then analog phone lines. So this device is it's technically a PBX. It's the Grand Stream UCM 6303, and this is 6301. This is an Ethernet IP modem that you install on your network. WIN-911 does stock these, so if you need it as part of your package, we can provide that, and it continues to be a great way to connect your phone line without requiring any VoIP on-premise VoIP systems. We also do email notification. Recently added support for Microsoft's added security requirements for SMTP servers. So for Office 365 emails, we can now support the OAuth versus the basic authentication. So SSL certificate requirements that is supported. And last but not least is Announcer. This is a solution for your on-site workers, whether you're on the directly on the plant floor or in a control room, or maybe on some other side of the plant. We do see this a lot in the food industry, and really a good way to add some redundancy into your alerting. Comment a little further on mobile. This is a fairly new solution. It's our newest notification method, became available in 2019. And we continue to add new enhancements to make this app more useful. When you sign into the app, you have dynamic alarm summary screens. You can retrieve some basic reports. And you also have access to alarm details amongst a number of other tools that are now available. As you deploy this solution, Please keep in mind if you did have more than one facility or more than one area of your facility using WIN-911, this can be deployed at multiple sites and can be accessed with a single mobile login. And to go over, to cover with you what WIN-911 Mobile can do, when you first open the app, you have an option to log in or use demo. If you would like to follow along, please feel free to download WIN-911 Mobile from your Play Store or from your Apple Store, and you can certainly use our demo server. To log in, this will be an email and password that the implementer or end user can define. As you're adding new connections into WIN-911, there's an authentication process via email to add that user, giving them really an access token to access the WIN-911 site. The first screen you see when you log in is going to be your alarm summary. So this will update in real time as new alarms occur. This symbol here on the left represents the alarm states, and as new alarms occur, to drill down into more detail, you can select an alarm. This is your alarm detail screen here, and this can be customized in your personal settings in terms of which elements and properties you see in your alarm formats. You can also chat with your team. So only the users that are assigned on that team to a particular alarm or subset of alarms would have access. You can also see whether they viewed the alarm and whether it has been sent to them. You can also look at recent state changes. So you can see in this case, the alarm became inactive. And now alarms history is available right off your smartphone as well. So last year we added support for alarm history in mobile. So for up to 31 days, if this assigned user logged into the app has privileges to access the alarm history for up to 31 days, you can easily sort this data in the app and also utilize different filters in WIN-911 Mobile to ensure that you have the right information. I did want to point out, similar to your alarm details, your alarm histories can be exported easily if you want to share it with a manager or email that information to somebody. Of course, being a smartphone, you can always take screenshots. And in your settings, you have access to your different WIN-911 sites. So my logged in user here, Jeremy, I'm only connected to one demo site, but in the case that you did have more than one instance of WIN-911 set up, this would give you the ability to enable and disable those different locations. Our reporting screen, I don't have any screenshots here on the app for this presentation, but you can retrieve raw process values on tags. And as I speak to some reporting a little bit later in the presentation, some of that will soon be available through WIN-911 Mobile. And this last screen is really the operator workspace. So this can be set up in a view-only mode. You can disable this view altogether, or you can allow edit access. In this case, Jeremy has edit access, so I can come in, view all of my connections in the systems. I can manipulate my schedules to determine whether that person gets notified or not if they're on a list. I can also modify my roles here. So I've got some different roles assigned. Bob's a maintenance guy, Jeremy's a manager. So these can now be easily manipulated on your phone. Your notification policies are really the defined behaviors and in your call out list. So as when 911 escalates an alarm, what do you want to do with it? If you're granted access to make edits in workspace now on mobile, you can make minor modifications such as reordering contacts, editing your retry options in the notification policy, and adding new connections that are already in the system. So if you don't have internet access in your WIN-911 system, you can use a solution we've come up with called Mobile Hub, WIN-911 Mobile Hub, that adds a layer of separation between WIN-911 and the internet. If you have multiple WIN-911 systems in your network, they can use a single hub. And this typically we see is deployed in a DMZ or business network. And traffic, whether you're connecting directly from your mobile module or from the hub, it is outbound initiated, so no port forwarding required. And it is an outbound initiated connection to Azure, which then creates a secure tunnel. We're using Azure's an Azure Relay service, which then allows users to do things like remotely acknowledge alarms. So once you're secured and you're connected, you sign into the app with the username that's been authenticated, and you can have your alarms all in one place. And in terms of the overall deployment, WIN-911 today does require a Windows operating system environment. This can be a server or a desktop. And we do require in addition with Factory Talk alarms and events, WIN-911, your Factory Talk alarms and events data source should live on your Factory Talk server. If you're using a Factory Talk VUSE station setup, then you'd want to have your Factory Talk A&E data source installed on the same machine. Or in the instance that you have a distributed network distributed application, you can install your WIN-911 Factory Talk A&E data source on any PC, client, or server in the network, as long as we have access to Factory Talk services and a Factory Talk VUSE client. So thinking about the flow of information and data, really looking left to right here as we're focused on Factory Talk today, but really any SCADA HMI, WIN-911 can take that data, pass it to the dispatcher, which then uses your configured logic to determine who gets notified, what particular order, and how that alarm is escalated to the right people. In addition, we do have the ability to acknowledge alarms. So as you securely receive these alarms, as users are granted access, we utilize this reporting module to communicate back to dispatcher and ultimately acknowledging alarms back into Factory Talk alarms and events. And with that said, did want to touch on some of the new configuration. With WIN-911 2021, there were some significant improvements. We're going to start with talking about contacts, which are your people and how that's set up in WIN-911. This is a within your contacts, you have your different connection types defined. So if you have SMS users or voice users or mobile app, that all lives within your contacts. And then next is really your escalation. So what does WIN-911 do with the alarm? How should we escalate it to the right people? And last but not least is the integration with Factory Talk alarms and events, where we can subscribe to the database and utilize existing alarm elements and properties to ensure that you're only bringing in the alarms you care about. So for your contact setup, we have a new workspace menu called Contacts Directory. This is a menu to quickly add your new users as you're creating a new WIN-911 deployment, where you define your not only your connection names, but the connection types. So if you're using email and mobile app, for example, like Tom Parker, you can utilize multiple connection types within the same contact. So for example, as I'm adding Austin here, you can see I've got options to add a email, voice, mobile, SMS contact. The announcer is a separate utility, and does not need to be configured here as a connection type. One other thing, you can change your schedules here. We'll look at the new scheduling features. You can also modify your roles, which has some benefits as well. On the scheduling logic, this is I would say, an integral part of WIN-911. We have a workspace UI for creating custom schedules. These schedules can have recurrences and multiple shifts, and ultimately your schedules are assigned to your connection types. So they can be shared across different users, or you can certainly create custom schedules that are unique to each user. You can also schedule these create these schedules for the future, so it can go out as far as you need and create recurrences. And of course, one thing to highlight here that's new is the ability to easily export ICS files from either another WIN-911 system or, say, an Outlook calendar, and import them into WIN-911. Next topic is escalation. For escalation, we introduced a new, really a new feature called notification policies. This is very powerful. And you have two different kinds of notification policy. You have your basic and your advanced. So starting with your basic, this is commonly known as a simple call-out list. And ultimately, as you create your alarm subscriptions and define the alarms of interest, you have your alarms pointing to a notification policy. So this is an example of a simple one. I'm calling this maintenance staff call out. In some cases, you may want to add a delay here before notifying. And depending on of course, if the alarm condition is met, that's tied to this policy. It's going to start with Mike Smith here via mobile app and work its way down the list until the stop policy is met here, which in this case I had it set up for acknowledgement. So if Mike Smith is notified and Mike Smith does not acknowledge the alarm, or it doesn't get acknowledged in SCADA, this is going to go to the next person in the list, which is another Mike Smith, by a phone call. And then assuming that Michael doesn't respond, we've got a delay here after successful for 5 minutes. So if Mike Smith doesn't respond, we'll continue to go to Tom, and so on and so on. So you can have this list continue to cycle and repeat, or you can have it repeat until a certain policy has stopped or been met. On the advanced side, this is unique for advanced license users. There's really two pillars to your advanced licensing. You have workflows and you have your rules. Your notification policies are really similar to basic. It's the definition of WIN-911's behaviors based on alarm states, and furthermore, the escalation, right? What do you want to do with that alarm? It really opens up with advanced the use of timers. You can also trigger more than one call-out list, or what we call a workflow within a single notification policy, which can be very powerful. And workflows, I would say, is the best way to describe it is a flow chart, and really gives you the ability to branch your escalation after we've subscribed to it, after we've brought it into WIN-911, and giving you a more flexible solution if you have a more complex escalation process. One example of an advanced workflow that I've got here on my screen is leveraging labels and roles. This is I would say, a more common use case for advanced. As you're setting up your alarms, you can assign labels to those subscriptions. Those labels are ways to organize your alarms. So it could be by your function, it could be by function in the plan, or by perhaps area, however you want to customize your labels. And roles is really, if you recall in the first couple of slides, when you're adding your contacts, your connections have roles. And these roles are really just ways to group people together. So again, it could be by your job function, perhaps it's by a certain shift. With advanced workflows, we do have the ability to leverage both roles and labels in your escalation. So in this example, I've got two different label decision blocks here, and this green dot would represent an active alarm. And in this case, I've got a decision here to make. So if the alarm is part of water treatment plant alarm label, I want to take one action. I'm going to notify the WTP operators and everybody wearing that role. If that's not true, maybe I'm going to divert left here and I want to know, is it part of the wastewater treatment plant alarms? And depending on whether that's true or not, you may want to notify the wastewater operators. If it's false, perhaps you want to go ahead and notify your managers. So again, this is just one example. These can be arranged however you may envision your escalation. And there's really a number of different blocks, notification blocks and decision blocks you can use in your escalation. Further, your rules are really what triggers your workflows or your call-out lists with advanced. So much like with your basic, you can define what are the stop conditions. This is typically by alarm state or a number of times you would cycle through a list. In this case, you can create multiple actions based on a certain alarm. So I've got my example, I'm starting this WTP and WWTP alarm workflow based on a certain alarm, and I have this notifying until the alarm becomes terminal, which would be inactive and acknowledged. So again, just more flexible, not always required, but certainly let our friends at NHP or let us know if there's any questions on what's new with advanced. And the last part on that I want to touch on is alarming, and we're going to speak to factory talk alarms and events. This is a unique integration as part of our partnership with Rockwell Automation. We provide the Factory Talk View alarms and events client. Rockwell provides the A&E server, and this really gives us access to real-time data logs and the ability to dynamically filter your alarms in WIN-911. Well, your alarms really live in Factory Talk alarms and events. So whether you're working with device-based alarms or logic-based alarms, WIN-911 can pull all of those in using Factory Talk alarms and events. And again, going back to the best practices of alarm management, too many alarms is a problem. And with this connection, you can create your own logic to determine which alarms you want to filter into WIN-911 or filter out. And we utilize the native alarm properties that are defined in Factory Talk Studio. So alarm names, so your tag names, your alarm classes, group names, and severity. So you can do severity ranges or values. So I've got one example here where I'm looking at calling it high priority alarms, and I've got a notification policy starting called maintenance staff call out. And my filters here are looking for alarms and events that contain tank in the tag name and are part of high priority. If those two things aren't true, I have one more clause that's looking for 1,000 severity value. If neither of these conditions are true, then we're going to go ahead and disregard the alarm in WIN-911. So you may have some alarms you want to log in WIN-911 and maybe not call out on. For that, we do have a notification policy canned called Do Not Notify. So really, I just encourage you as you're thinking how this solution would fit in your environment. Think about the alarms that are most important and how can we group those together in Factory Talk to make the connections more seamless. Thinking about, again, who are the groups that need to know about these different kinds of alarms. All right. Well, I did want to transition into reporting briefly before we take questions from the audience. We have added some new capabilities with reporting, some specific to food and beverage, but as well as some reporting for WIN-911 logs, leveraging Excel Reporter. And Excel Reporter can produce on-demand reports that access alarm information. In the case of WIN-911, you can access things like notification performance, response time for WIN-911 users, ensuring that your investment in the system and all of your data is available on demand. These built-in reports do include top occurring alarms. You can break out notifications by contact and method. And also we can do basic reporting from RS links, factory talk links, gateway, panel view plus, as well as factory talk alarms and events, in addition of UME and historian SE. So there's many sources we can offer this reporting for, and we're excited to really add and incorporate more reporting specifically for WIN-911. The first report I'll share here is called your notification contacts report. And this was available with the latest edition of Excel Reporter version 15. You can now easily, this automatically pulls from WIN-911 databases and SQL Server and shows you which notification methods are most used in practice. You can see here, got some different alarm names, a little pie chart here to show the notification types and the quantities, as well as the period of time. These on-demand reports, I'll mention, they can be emailed to you or be accessed locally or from a web GUI. Also, notification contacts reports available on the fly. These break down the activity by person who's being notified. It can show who's responding, who is not, if there's a lot of errors or warnings for different things, as well as somebody is being overloaded, right? Or if somebody's ignoring these alarms. So really, this will continue to evolve, but this is one of the first steps of reporting that we've enhanced in the last couple of months. We've also added a notification source report or notification details report here. And this is the really intended to filter all your records in WIN-911. So for mining and auditing, easily break down your notification details. And again, we're looking forward to adding some new capabilities on that as well. And then the last new WIN-911 report is notification source reports. This may be one of the most useful and really gives you visibility into the most frequently occurring notifications in the system. So you can see your total number of new alarms, your average alarm rates, top 10 contributions and what that percentage is. It also breaks down in a Pareto chart, so you can root out nuisances and bad actors. And really the other key piece here are your alarm quantities and your accumulation percentages. So this can help highlight your contribution to the top alarms. And in the food and beverage industry, this is not currently available with WIN-911 logs, but you can use Excel Reporter for clean-in-place reports. So for companies, whether you're in the beverage space or co-packing, many sanitation processes, whether it's vessels, pipework, tanks, utilize clean-in-place processes. And these reports can give you audit trends for key measurements and compare to set points. So this trend line here gives you some marked stages for the different processes along the trend line. Again, same principles always apply here. You can have these automatically emailed to you and access, of course, via web GUI or on a local machine. And then the last report feature I'm going to talk about today is our new ISA 18.2 reporting. This really shows the top 12 metrics defined by ISA, including top contribution, average floods. You can see average alarm rates, and it really just gives you a general conception of the alarm system health. And if you want to drill down on specific metrics, you can go into more details on these reports as well. And so, again, alarm management being a critical part of a manufacturing plant, certainly a way to automate this. And these are just a few examples. We can also look at some of the compliance reporting if your state or location requires it. Without further ado, it's been a pleasure to join this session, and thank you to NHP. We'll go ahead and wrap this up and open the floor for any questions. Thank you.
Got a few questions coming in here. Thanks everybody for your time today. First question, can you add labels to Factory Talk A&E alarms? So that's a great question. So with Factory Talk A&E, as you build these subscriptions, as you set up, whether you have more than one subscription, each of these subscriptions can have multiple filters. In my example earlier, I shared an example of filtering on severity and group name. So in that particular example, you could tack a specific label to that. So in the event that you're using say a workflow and you have some form of escalation based on an alarm being part of a certain label, that is really how you would leverage it within your Factory Talk subscriptions. So I hope that answered your question. Couple more questions coming in here. So I've got a question. This question, I'm currently running a virtualized machine on site. It is running a Cytec server redundancy, 2 Cytec servers running redundancy in a virtualized machine. The question here is, do I need the internet access to run WIN-911 in my instance? So for that first question, no, you do not need WIN-911 to have internet access. Depending on how you connect to the outside world. So if you prefer an email notification, of course, you'll need proper access for if it's an internal email server, or if you have an outside email server that you're using for outbound access. Similar to VoIP, that does use internet access, but in terms of connecting to your Cytec applications, you could connect either a single WIN-911 instance to both of your Cytec applications. This could be done using OPC DA or UA, or you could have a secondary WIN-911 system set up in a redundant manner, so you have 2 WIN-911 instances. So if you had one pointing to the 2 servers, it would just be your base license, and we have what's called an additional node license here. All right, another comment from the audience. Good day from Australia. A good day to you guys. Does it support Cytec SCADA? Yes, we do. We do not have a specific data source unique to Cytec, similar to Factory Talk alarms and events, what we call a direct connect. But we do support 3 different flavors of OPC. Or I guess 2 different flavors. So we support OPC DA, both DA Classic and OPC UA DA, UA data access. And we also support OPC A&E Classic. So depending on which version of Cytec you're using, we can embrace Cytec's OPC server and connect that way. Great questions here. I've got some more. Does the notification source reports and on-demand reporting publish to Excel Reporter? Correct. So the reporting for notification sources would publish to Excel Reporter. Excel Reporter is a product that we are now is now part of WIN-911's portfolio, a new strategic alliance, and so we have there's been some new integrations designed in Excel Reporter to use WIN-911's logs and databases for more advanced reporting on things like notification sources. I've got some more good questions here. So one question from the audience: how deep does the alarm performance detail go? For example, chattering alarm analysis. Yeah, that's a great question. So in terms of the on-the-demand reporting for alarm performance, this is going to be the ISA report. So this will provide you total number of new alarms, total number of alarm floods, stale alarm sources, standing alarms over a period of time. So you can also drill down on the alarms that are, you could say, chattery. So maybe the ones that are occurring the most. There's some different metrics for that, such as floods, where you can drill down and provide some thresholds for what's acceptable and what's not. So I hope that answered your question. Happy to talk offline with you on that if you have anything else here. Great question. Do I need the FactoryTalk View A&E to make it? So WIN-911 has a number of different data source connections specifically for SciTech. I think an original question, what came from you on that. So FactoryTalk is not required for WIN-911, but of course we're not a standalone product. So we support FactoryTalk alarms and events. OPC is an open standard protocol, and we do have some other SCADA direct connects as well. But there are some other sources outside of FactoryTalk alarms and events. Let's see, I have a question from the audience. Do you have any slide decks on 18.2 alarm development process and workflow? I would be happy to follow up with you on that, Paul. Let me just jot down your contact info, and I will certainly follow up with you. I may not have anything right offhand, but I'd love to have a discussion with you and see how we can work together. Great questions here. One question is Rockwell A&E server events supported? Yes, that's a great question, Alan. We do support both alarms and events, and you can subscribe to one or the other or a combination of the two. So we are seeing that as more common in terms of wanting to know this information about alarms. So yes, you can certainly access events now as well, leveraging FactoryTalk A&E. Yeah, I had another question, a follow-up question on SciTech. Do I need any SciTech drivers to integrate WIN-911 and firewalls removed? Yeah, good question. So no specific drivers. So there is well, I guess on the SciTech side, there is an OPC server that can be provided with SciTech. I'm not sure if that's an add-on required or a special driver. And on our side, you get with your base license a single OPC connection, whether it's UA or DA. And for every additional source, so if you had the two redundant or the two sources you want to point WIN-911 to both of them, there is an add-on part for WIN-911 it's called a nodes license, and it's a lot less than a new license cost. Okay, another question: can it get alarms directly from the PLC? Yeah, good question. So with FactoryTalk alarms and events, obviously we're leveraging the FactoryTalk architecture. If you wanted to, perhaps you have a smaller system that maybe there's not a SCADA HMI, generally we recommend using something like FactoryTalk Links, which makes a great OPC, you could say an OPC driver, OPC gateway for Win-911 to connect. Kept server is also an option. Really, any of the any of the flavors, brands of OPC we can support, and you can import the tags directly into Win-911, depending on which mechanism of OPC you end up going with. Great questions, guys. Another question here. Is Win-911 supporting Factory Talk Optics? Wasn't sure if I touched on that. So we are supporting Factory Talk Optics. You can connect via OPC UA, or if your implementation, you're embracing Factory Talk alarms and events, we can connect to your application utilizing the A&E server. Excellent questions. Thank you, guys. Anything else here from the audience this afternoon, this morning? Afternoon for me. Cheers. All right. Well, thank you guys very much. As always, NHP is our preferred distributor for Rockwell automation for all of Australia, New Zealand. Here to help you with your Win-911 needs. And of course, please don't hesitate to reach out to me as well if I can be of any assistance. Appreciate everybody's time today, and thank you to NHP. And I wish you all a terrific day. Thank you.